Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. Got a pretty exciting weekend. Uh, I got all my, I think last time we talked, I got all my high voltage cabling completed and wired up. And I had what I was hoping was all my BMS wires connected. I contacted Orion BMS and they sent me their cell tap monitor or cell tap checker. And what you do there is you connect the wires that go into the BMS, the connector there, you take that connector and plug it into this cell tap thing, and it goes through and makes sure that you wired everything correctly. And I hadn't. 12 of the cells on this battery in the front here, I'd actually got backwards. So instead of 12, 13, 14, 15, it was 24, 23, 22, 21. To fix that, all I had to do was just come over to this Anderson connector, and it was the yellow wires here, and then just take the first one and the last one out, swap them, the second one and the second to last, swap them, and so on. And it fixed that. And then on the fuel tank battery box, I actually had the first and the second cells backwards. Now I don't know if I had done that internally internally on the cell tap BMS board wiring, or if I'd done that on the Anderson connector. It doesn't matter. All I did was disconnect the Anderson connector and fixed it, and then went through and double checked everything with that the tester from Orion, and they were all good to go. So I could connect all my connectors into the Orion BMS and turn the ignition on and see what happens. As soon as I did that, all my dashboard and everything came up like it's supposed to. I took a voltmeter over to the 12 volt side and saw that it was actually charging. So that meant my DCDC converter was good. So that's fabulous. And the next thing I did with a heart in my throat was come around and plug in the J1772. And there's a whole bunch of contactors contacted. The lights came on, and the EVSE over here, it clicked like it was supposed to, and then everything just turned off. And I thought, oh, that's not good. Well, it turns out what happened is I'd never turned the ignition key, I'd never turned the key back off. So there's a safety feature in the BMS that says if you got the key on with the J1770 plugged in, or the J1772 is plugged in, and then you turn the key on, it kills everything so that you can't drive off with that thing dangling in your car and, being an idiot. I've done that several times with the Ranger because I didn't have any sort of safety monitors for it. So I'm glad to have that feature. So turn the key off, plug that back in again, and lo and behold, the battery started charging. I was thrilled to see that. So what happens here? And then I got online, I connected the BMS, and so now I can go on and individually monitor all my cells. So the BMS monitors and also balances the all the cells and all the modules. The way it does this, you go into the settings and you set one of the settings is if any cell goes above such and such 4.090, if any cell goes above that, then start balancing it. Once the lowest, then the BMS monitors all the cells, and it monitors the lowest one. Then once that lowest one gets within another settable value, in this case 0.010 of the highest, then any cell that goes within 0.010 of the lowest cell, then you start balancing it also. Then once any cell gets to 4.100, then you just don't let it charge anymore, because that's the maximum voltage that the BMS will let it get to. And that's what all these little red lights are showing now. For some reason I have it set for 4.100, but some of these are, the highest one is 4.106, so I'm not really sure what that's all about. But maybe it knows that there's sort of a bounce. So as soon as you unplug the connector, that'll all bounce back down and it won't overcharge. Now the maximum allowable voltage of any cell, another settable value, is 4.150. And 4.150 is actually lower than what Tesla on its maximum charges to. I think it charges to 4.2 or even 4.21. If you're not familiar with lithium batteries, 4.2 to 4.21 is actually kind of a big deal. There's a lot of energy, even in a hundredth of a volt. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. But so you can see this thing just lighting up like a Christmas tree. I'm getting kind of near the end of the voltage. I'm not exactly sure when it stops charging, when they all get to 4.1 or when they all get to 4.15. I don't really know. So they say to monitor this and keep an eye on it to make sure that nothing gets overcharged. And I can't lie, it's actually super nerdy, but it's kind of fun to watch these just to see what happens. Yeah, there you go. I think what's happening is what's going to happen is it's going to stop charging when they're all within 0.01 of each other, and the highest one is 0.15. I think that's what's going to happen. So at the moment, they're still within 0.010 of each other. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know. You tell me. One problem I'm having, maybe you wizards out there can tell me, is the top box here. That's my thermal expansion module. I think it's actually bad because whenever I plug it in, I get an error message on my CAN adapter, and it'll kind of works. It'll kind of keep the CAN connection, but it'll sometimes kick it out. And I thought maybe that the high and low CAN wires were mixed up on the connector, so I swapped them over, and it worked better. But then the next time I went to use it, it didn't work better, so I switched them back to the way they were, and then it worked really good. I didn't have any error messages at all on the CAN adapter. Then the next time after I unplugged it after supper, I unplugged it, plugged it back in, then it wouldn't come on at all. And so now I've just got it unplugged, so I don't have any thermistor readings at all. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm only charging at 8 amps. Each module is only getting 8 amps, each cell. So, I mean, it's not even breathing heavy, so I'm not worried about that at all. I would be worried about that when I start driving this thing, especially on a hot day. Yeah, so I need to sort that out. I'm not sure. I think maybe that thermistor module is bad, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I didn't wire the thermistors themselves wrong, because that'd be horrible. That'd be tragic. I don't want to talk about what I'd have to do. Anyway, so if you watch my channel, you saw the other day that I did a video on how to remove stuck bolts by welding bolt heads, and you maybe wonder why in the world would I do such a thing. Well, that's why I put a drop-down tailgate on this. I like drop-down tailgates. I like them much better than swing-out tailgates, especially Jeep swing-out tailgates that in my mind swing out the wrong way. So it's a drop-down tailgate. Now, I got these little cables here, and they come with the mount that one of them bolts right there, one bolts to the other side, and then there's a bracket that bolts to right here. Now, this kit is from Swag, S-W-A-G, Swag Off-Road. So you get this kit, it's got the cables, and it's got the hinges, you know, and some instructions on how to do it. It's only like $100, so. And then this tailgate itself came from just off of Amazon. And then these little latches, that's what a CJ. So this is a tailgate off of a CJ7 or 8 or whatever. And these little, this is all they use. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, Swag says in their kit that all this stuff says that this bracket should come with the tailgate when you get the tailgate, but this one didn't. So I got to go online and find that bracket, or those brackets, so that I can hook up my cables. But, you know, I mean, it's just cool to have a drop-down tailgate. You sit on it, you can put stuff on it. I don't know, just much better, more versatile. So that's what I did there. And in this here box here, I've got a 12 volt to 110 volt inverter. That is going to be pretty cool. This is actually a 2,000 or 3,000 watt inverter. I don't think I'll ever use 3,000 watts, but it's better to have it and not need it. But that way, you know, you get 110 volts anywhere you need it. And what else? Oh, I got my little coolant. I just got my coolant pump for the charger. I've just got it circulating into a bucket of water, just going into the charger and into the bucket. And that charger is actually getting pretty warm. Yeah, I'm showing about 107 degrees for the water temperature. It's kind of surprising, I think. But yeah, so it just kind of goes up in there and circulates around and comes down into my little bucket here. So, what else? I don't know what else to talk about. See, now we're all lit up here. Maybe, I guess, I don't know, when they all go red, maybe the charge current will start to drop off. I don't know. I'm as curious as you are. Maybe not. So, oh, what else? I know I'm probably forgetting something. Oh, this here. Watch out. So I got this little dude. This little guy is upside down. So this little guy is a multi-function timer, and I found him on Amazon. This guy is incredible. A lot of folks in comments suggested for my power steering issues, my steering pump, why don't you just use an Arduino or something? And that sounds like a wonderful idea, except I don't know how to use an Arduino. I don't know how to do I just don't know how to do all that stuff. And quite frankly, I'm not interested in learning. I think it's like C+ or something. And I'm sure it's a very basic programming language, and anybody can do it, but I just don't care to learn. So I found this here little dude on Amazon. I think it was like $14. So, and it's got something like 33 different modes. You can set it up as a flasher. You can set it up, 33 different modes. The mode that I'm going to use is actually number 13, and it's pretty much exactly what I want. It's as soon as I turn the key on, this relay will come into effect, and it'll turn the power steering pump on for 10 seconds or 5 seconds, however long I program it for. And the trigger, which is the green wire, on this thing. The trigger is going to be the switch that's on the steering column. And if that switch is activated during that 10-second time, it'll reset that time. If that switch is active and remains active without cycling, then that timer will go off and it'll turn the pump off. If that switch goes to off and the timer runs off, it'll turn the pump off. And as soon as that switch happens again, then the pump comes back on. So I think this is going to work pretty good. I'm having a hell of a time figuring out how to program it. It's actually kind of complicated. It's not complicated. It's complicated if you don't know how to do it. It's easy if you know how, and I don't. But I'll figure it out because, it's not that bad. And one interesting thing, so this Stealth EV charger is a 6.6 kilowatt charger. And at the moment, I'm charging about 8 amps. And 8 amps at, 400 volts is about 3.3 volts. So it's only about half. Now that works out to about 14 amps at the 220 side. And that's okay because the little EVSE that I've got is only rated for 20 amps. So the Stealth EV charger talks to the EVSE on your wall and asks it, how big are you? And the EVSE says, I'm 20 amps. And the Stealth charger goes, all right, then we're just going to charge at 3.3 kilowatts. I've got another EVSE on the house, and it's a 40 amp. So I'm thinking, and I hope that I'm right, that when I plug this Jeep into that EVSE, it'll charge at the full 6.6, which is kind of cool because I have a battery backup in my house and solar panels. And if I am fully off grid, I have a way to change it from off grid to on grid. If I'm fully off grid, then I don't really want to be dragging my inverter, my house inverter, down to 6.6 kilowatts. I would rather charge at a lower rate. So that means I can just plug it up to the garage and charge at a lower rate. Or if we're off grid, if we're on the grid, and then I can plug it into the house and charge it at a faster rate. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, that I believe is it for this video, but it's pretty exciting. I'm so happy that this worked. I'm so happy. If the DCDC didn't work or the charger didn't work, I really don't know what I'd do. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, thank you for watching. Keep on watching. I hope you're learning something from this. I'm having a heck of a good time with it. And I'll see you later. Bye.